Yes, my name is Dina, and I am in Washington State in the USA.
Lovely. Well, Dina, thank you so much for coming on here, giving us your time this morning to share a little conversation about LMA. And I just kind of, before we dive in, I want to bring it back to the start. I'm just curious to know, what would you say was the biggest struggle or challenge you were facing in your life prior to joining the LMA program?
So this is my second time, and I want to say that when I first discovered the LMA program, I had lost purpose. It was during the COVID shutdown, and I'm a teacher, and so I didn't have my own class at the time. I was a specialist, and therefore I really didn't have a job, outside of the connection of daily get up and go and do something, I had just kind of lost who I am. Why do I get up in the morning? And came across the video,
Hmm,
um, and that's kind of how I started.
nice. And having fell upon LMA, um, what made LMA a great fit for you, Dina?
Uh, wow. There, there's um, there's a lot of pieces in LMA I really like. That it first started focusing on you. I think that every course that I've ever taken to become better always started with how I can work to fit my leadership role, my mother, as a teacher, as a leader, and it was always reflected outward, um, in the very beginning. And there's so much work to be done inward first, and I just think that that's why that this program is so good.
Great. And before you came on board and you clicked that button and signed up, was there a part of you that thought, like, what am I getting myself into? Is this a scam? Should I be doing this? Like, and if so, how did you navigate through that and step forward in faith and be here today?
It's kind of funny because I've had lots of those thoughts, in the very beginning, I was at such a low point that that I didn't think through those things. I just needed something, and then I got a boost, and I got life happened, and I got back on track, and then but I didn't visit it again. So there was quite a gap between the time I went through it the first time and now, and so I found myself not in the same low place, but in a similar place with different circumstances. And that's when, for some reason, I really started questioning, um, what is this thing, and who is Tim Hahn really, and why is this why did nobody around me know about this amazing program if it's so amazing?
Mm,
And so yeah, I did question and wonder what is this all about?
mm. And how did you then put those questions or that skepticism to one side? What made you commit and move forward then?
It really has everything to do with the structure of the program and the amount of research based information that Tim gives along the way. And I can't say that I went on my own and did any research because I didn't have time to
Mhm,
do any of that. And I don't feel like I would ever need to.
mhm.
Um, I mentioned it, it was interesting. I mentioned it to my mom, and she was like, "Are you sure this isn't a cult? Who is this Tim Hahn? Did
Wow.
you get the money?"
Wow.
And
Wow.
so, and I'm really trying to kind of justify it for her. And it wasn't until we started talking about the same things. She was involved in a grief group, and she was bringing up a point, and we were having these discussions, and we were really bringing up almost parallel issues and parallel points, and and that's when it was like, yes, this is real, this is good.
Mm.
um and
Nice.
I'm committed.
Yes. What would you say surprised you the most, or made you the most happiest having gone through the LMA program?
Oh boy. Um, that's it's hard to pick one thing. I think that this time round, the connection piece, um, has been a bigger struggle for me. I'm really not, and it could be my generation. It could be just the anxieties that I've dealt with, but I really struggle with social media. And I'm not, I have a Facebook account, but I don't frequent it at all. I know that sounds odd. I know that some people are like, what? How can you live? And so the community has really been a struggle for me, but the need for connection and has really, um, you know, put has is renting space in my head. I mean, it's there, it's there, and I feel like the information that I got from the program was it's so necessary.
Mm,
And so that's kind of where from here, it's kind of like a stepping stone
mm.
that's where I'm going to be focusing my work.
Great, great. And having gone through what you've gone through in LMA and you've been through it 2 times now, what would you say is the biggest shift that you've noticed for you personally in your life having gone through LMA?
I think that probably um, the biggest shift is that scarcity mindset. I think that I grew up with a scarcity mindset, although I was never in poverty. I was always taught to mind I mean, we joke about how my dad fixed the tire with the bubble gum and he repaired everything with duct tape,
Mm,
and then um, you kind of live that way. And when I was raising my kids, we were, um, you know, going to the food bank to get food on the table for a period of time. And so it's that not wanting to spend that money um, to do what needs to be done. And I think that just understanding that, that we're recirculating, that we're needing to you need to go ahead and live, I suppose, is better rather than just the money, but it's just go ahead and putting yourself out there,
yeah.
including by financially
Mhm,
stepping forward and investing. If you don't spend the money, you're not going to get anything back. Your money's not going to grow in
mhm,
a jar buried in your backyard.
mm,
And so, and neither are you really
mm.
if you're not putting yourself out there. And so I think there was a parallel there for me. And I think that was the paradigm shift that then and going back and now saying that, I think that's probably one of the surprises that I had too, is that, oh, well, this is something I've never talked about in another course.
Nice, nice. What would you say was just because you'd mentioned it there that you'd been through some of the courses, what was so different about LMA compared to previous courses that you've been through?
Like I mentioned earlier, I think the biggest difference is that it's the first the very beginning of the course is all about you and inside and internally, and making sure um, that you've really visited the the root and the belief system, and the reason that you're here in this low spot, before you begin to climb a little bit further out of it, I guess. And I just think that that's the number one difference, is that once you've really explored that, then you can begin thinking about what are the next steps. Now I understand how and why I need that community and what I can do in that community. And there's, that, but I think the other courses are really they're not as deep,
Mm,
and they're definitely focused outward,
mm,
uh, from the beginning.
yeah, nice. And Having gone through LMA now from your own personal experience, what sort of person would you say LMA is for? Who is LMA for truly?
Wow, anyone. Um, uh, I think that it, and um, it has to be, you have to want to do the work. And I'm sitting here after going through it. And I just finished the live course.
Mm.
And the live course is like, uh, it- it's like getting a blast of information and it comes at you in this, it's amazing. Um, 4 hours long, but the there's not a lot of time to process.
Mhm.
And I do believe that you have to say, okay, I'm wanting to spend the time outside of the course to
Mhm.
do the work. And even though I'm one of those people that really struggle to do that, to
Mhm.
make me a priority, that appointment, showing up for that appointment for myself.
Yeah.
But knowing that it's there for me to access every single morning.
Yeah.
Um, and that, so the person, I feel like anyone would benefit from this course.
Wow.
Um, I think that truly people who will thrive are people who are already knowing that they have a purpose outside of themselves, that they want to go do something,
Mhm.
that they have a dream that has just been sitting there and hasn't been fulfilled yet. I think that that that's when this will just open up a big avenue of opportunity, um, and give them the chances to, and the eye opening that yes, it's right there in front of you.
Mhm.
You just need to take the step and go for it.
Wonderful. Wonderful. And Dina, just to wrap up here, final question. Having gone through this LMA journey yourself 2 times now, what advice would you give to someone who's thinking of joining LMA, but they're maybe sitting on the fence, but they want to join, they're sitting on the fence? What would you say to those people?
One, first of all, I would say if it's a financial issue, again, that mindset of scarcity coming into this, spending that money, I want you to just really think about what is the cost of seeing a therapist on a weekly basis, or once a month even. The money that you're spending now is just as valuable,
Mm.
in my opinion. And also that it is unlike anything else that I've ever seen out there, and that it's absolutely worth the investment and worth the time, um, to put into yourself.